What we're working with now is Gopro Studio. Now, to my knowledge, Gopro Studio is not presently being supported by GoPro. It's still available and you can find it online. One of the things that happens is the version I have, which is not the latest. I don't think there is such a thing as the latest, but like with my GoPro 10, I can't use any of those videos. Some of the other videos, it does not pick up the audio on some of the older cameras I have. And so if you happen to have some of the older cameras, like the 3, the 4, maybe even the 5, it should work quite well. But some of the newer cameras, you may have difficulties. What we're going to do, we've opened it up, and this is a screen that you're going to find when you open it up. You have to download it to your computer. You open the program up, and this is what you find. You come up here to import new files, and we're going to import that file right there. And what happens is it brings it in over here. Now, at this point in time, something else we should do is come up here and go File and Save Project As, and call this GoPro Studio. GoPro Studio using, and you save it. That way, periodically you need to save your video. Now, what happens, we've got the file up here. Down here we have a timeline. The intent of what we're wanting to do is show a takeoff. So what happens is we don't really need any of this taxiing out. Now we're starting a takeoff roll right here, so we'll back up. And as we back up, we'll come up into here somewhere and we'll cut it. And this is to mark it in. And then we'll come on over here and somewhere down in here, we've got up in the air and we're flying. Now this was where we took off, flew part way down the runway, and then said that was enough and went back down and landed. So what we're going to do is we're going to stop about right in here, about the time we get down towards the ground. So we're going to stop right in here. So we're going to stop this. Now, the reason we do that is when we add this clip to the conversion list, which is what we have to do next, okay, we have 1 minute and 23 seconds that we're adding to the conversion list. Now, I added it twice, so I'm going to remove one of the clips. So now we have it once there, and I just used the remove clip down here. You can clear all of them or remove them. And the entire video up there is 6 minutes and 43 seconds. Well, what happens is we need to convert this. So what we do is we convert all. And up here it says it's processing. So what it will do is go through a processing of that. And it's processing it into the language that this particular program uses. Some of the other software that I use, it does not convert it. It uses it as an MP4 directly. In this case, it converts it. Now, we've got a fairly short video, which is the intent, because we don't want it to take a long time, because what we're trying to do is demonstrate how to use this software. And it's 1 minute and 23 seconds. We're already at 61%, so it shouldn't take too long. And make sure you know where your files are saved to bring over to this program, but also know where your files are going from this program. Now, down here at the bottom, and our processing is 100% here, down here at the bottom it says change directory, and I have this saved to and I know where that is. What happens is if you have been working on a prior project or no projects at all, it'll save it someplace and you may have a hard time finding where it's went to. Now, we're 100% here, and so I do believe we can come up here and click on edit at this point in time. And do we want to edit a template? Well, they have different templates you can use. I typically use a blank template. Go create. Now what I have is I have this short video up here, and what I'm going to need to do is take this video and drag it down here to my timeline. And so what happens now, this is a video of us taking off here, and we're sitting there a long time and not taking off. So when we start rolling, I'm going to stop this. Now you notice all that movement? Okay, now we're starting to roll. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to use this to split the current clip into two parts. We have this part, which I want to get rid of, and we have this part, which I want to keep, because that's where we start rolling. Now, all of that wobbling, where it looks like it's wiggling, if you will, in the camera lens, that's what you call rolling shutter. That has to do with vibration and movement during the camera lens open process, which on this particular camera is set at 30 frames per second, and it picks that up. Now some of the cameras are real bad about picking that up. The newer ones tend to be a little bit better. Where you have it mounted also affects all that. Now what we're going to do, we can increase the play speed. We can pause it, we can back up, which is kind of neat here. And so what happens here, we're going to increase the play speed, that way it doesn't take so long to go through it. We're into the air, we're climbing, we're doing our thing. And this particular video is from one of my older cameras, and it's the only one I could get to work in the GoPro Studio program. Okay, as soon as we touch the ground, I'm going to stop and call it quits right there. So again, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to split the current. I'm going to delete that half. Now this is our video. Well, this video right here is 47 seconds long. Now, at this point in time, I'm going to put a title on this. And the title, let's see the title up here. We come over here and we can pick the size of the lettering. We can reduce it. We can enlarge it. We can pick fade in, fade out, any backdrop, colors, all sorts of neat things. If we want to use a red, we can fix it as a red. So the title, we're going to call this, and you've got to do the typing over here. GoPro Studio Basics. And you hit, that's what you want. Now we take this and we drag it down into the title, and we right click on that and we can cut, copy, or paste it. And so we can drag that and make it longer, or we can make it shorter. So we're going to come up here And we're going to put this over here on the side right here. And I think let's go up in our font size. What I'm doing is clicking over here on our font size to make it a little bit bigger. So now what happens is we have the GoPro Basics. And so we can add media. Now media would be more video, or it could be audio. Again, if we have a speaker attached, you can actually click on it right here and talk directly to your video as you're putting it together. And it enters in these tracks down here. You can go in and edit it, do whatever you want to it. Now, as far as making this particular video better and getting rid of the wobbly, blurry lines, in all honesty, there is some software that you can get that can help that, but it's not worth the effort unless you really have something that's got to be done. Now, we have talked about various aspects of this. Again, if you hover over something, it'll tell you what it can do. And you can set this to do a loop playback, or you can decrease the play speed, or step back or step forward. And the total time over here is 47 and 6/100ths of a second, 47 seconds. Up here we can change the speed of the video. We can speed it up or slow it down. We can fade in or fade out if we had multiple scenes. If we had another video, for instance, I could bring this down here, and this video, what happens is when we go from this one, see how that jumped in there? I can come up here and fade in, and I can set this up so what happens is, and so it's real easy to set it to fade in or fade out. I can set this one to fade out, and let's set this for a second to fade out. So this one here is playing here, and it fades out, and the next one's set to fade in. Now I can delete that, and we're back where we started. Now let's go to the end here, and we should still have our fade out at the end. See how that fades out? Anyway, this particular program, GoPro Basics, is the GoPro Studio is a neat program. I really liked using it, and I wished it was being supported. I'd still be using it because it pretty much meets everything that I want it to do, and it does it real simple. Down here are different fonts you can use for your lettering, and for your title properties. Now what we're going to do right now is export this, and when you go to export it, it asks you what are you going to export it for. If you're going to go to YouTube, this is the best one to pick. If you're going to put it on your computer, play it on your computer, some of these others may be a better pick. I'm going to leave this one on YouTube, and I'm going to export it. And then it comes up and says all these YouTube videos. That's great, but that's not where I want to put it. Where I want to put it is over here on, I believe I'm on H under Form Presentation. So I want to open that folder, and that's where it's going to go. And then it asks me for a file name. GoPro Studio Basic, and save. Okay, so now what it's doing is processing it back into an MP4 file. And it takes a little bit of time. This program is pretty easy to use. It's a lot of fun to use. It's quick to learn. And what it can do is a little bit limited, but for most uses that I use anyway, it's more than enough. And for your basic putting together videos, it works great. And so you can download this. Just go to Gopro Studio, and you should find it under some of the GoPro.com information. They have manuals on how to use it. They have videos on how to use it. And it's a straightforward little program. And this is basically how you use it here. When we get our video up here, we'll take a look at it. And so what happens now is the video has been processed and saved. And so to take a look at that video, what we have to do is we close out of this program and we actually go to where that video is saved. And that's where things can get interesting, because if you don't remember, you're going to have problems. And somewhere up here we have GoPro Studio Basic. And there should be the video that we just made. We've got our font down there. It went away after a few seconds like we had it set. We can set that longer or shorter. And we have all this flopping around and wiggling and everything else going on. This is a Hero 7 that I'm shooting right here. Actually, I'm sorry, this was a GoPro Hero 5, which does not have a stabilizer. And I was shooting at 1080, 60 frames, I'm sorry, 1080, 30 frames per second. Now, if I'd have had my GoPro, the 10, the black, with the stabilizer, this video would have been a lot nicer, better video, shooting at like 2700 and maybe 60 frames per second. Been a much better video. Okay, that's the end of where we're at, and hopefully this will help you out. Answer any questions.